habitats, green space, water, and then connect the people to those spaces. So that is our primary goal, is to make sure that residents and visitors appreciate what we have here in Fairfield County. From this kind of jumping off point, it's typical for park districts to have a little bit of local flavor and maybe a different focus to add to what's here. And for us, that's history. Rockmill, probably everybody here is familiar. Rockmill is our most popular park. We also have 5 covered bridges in the county. We have Lockville, which was our first park and our only park when we were formed in 1981. So we have more than typical focus on history in our park district as well. So the way the Ohio Revised Code is set up, we're a political subdivision of the state. We're also part of the county, and it gets a little bit confusing, and there are some intricacies there that I'm still learning about. I've been the director for a little over 2 years. As I mentioned, the probate judge appoints our board. The probate judge back in 1981 also would have allowed for the founding of our park district. And the auditor is our designated financial officer. Those are the things that ORC pretty much lays out for park districts. And then from there, again, we get to that sort of local flavor. We here at Fairfield County Parks have a lot of help from county departments, and we are always very grateful. Yesterday, we started making a list, and I said, this would be my 15 minutes. But know that we are grateful for that. And that's typical for a smaller or newer park district. Probably a little bit less of that in big districts in Franklin County and in the Cleveland area. But it works quite well for us here. We are grateful for that support. So our funding comes primarily from our 10-year levy, which we passed in 2021. 0.4 millage brings us about $1.4 million a year. The voters supported our levy in 2021 at a right about 63%. So we were really pleased with that. We do get some other funding for a total of about 1.7. We do get local government funds, other public funds. An example would be ODOT provides funds for park districts to use specifically for parking lots. You go to Manbrook Park, we put a new lot in last year, and that was done with those ODOT funds. And we do use grants whenever possible. So we have 2 fairly large properties that we purchased with grant money. And I'll talk a little bit about a grant that we have for improvement coming up this year. Donations, we did get a donation that helped purchase a property, 40 acres, that brought together 2 other properties so that we can develop that park. It's called 2 Glaciers, and actually put some trails in there. And then a little bit in rentals and fees. We do keep our rental prices and our fees for everything rather low. It's here to serve the public, so those fees are a bit nominal what we bring in there. This is our staff. As I mentioned, I always want to make sure that we are helping people connect with what's right here in our community. And we do trainings, annual trainings, where we go out and see what somebody else is doing. And in this case, we went to Deckard Art Center, the Sherman House in Georgia, and the Glass Museum, which I had never been to. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. So we have a little over 1,100 acres, and we counted over 100,000 visitors last year. That is not all inclusive. We can't count everyone because we're not always there. But we do use it to see trends, and depending on the park, we're seeing a 10 to 30% increase in use, which is great, with the exception of 2020, which was more like 50% use, and that's pretty typical. Everybody knows outside was where you could go to get out of the house in 2020. So we're working back up to that, and we're happy with our growth. So this is where we're located throughout the county. I did bring some paper maps if anybody wants one, but as you can see, we're fairly well spread out. We do have a couple partnerships in the northern part of the county that help us serve folks up there, even though we don't have a lot of properties. Today, I wanted to provide updates on Rockmill, which probably everybody knows right here. And then 2 Glaciers Park, which is down here. Following up with last year when I was here, we were talking about the fall underneath Rockmill, the sandstone that was eroding, that was very concerning. So this was a big project for us, but this is what it looks like now, and it turned out beautifully. The engineer that put this together for us told me this will last another 200 years, and that's good enough for me. So we were really pleased with that. Rockville is maintenance, as an historical mill is going to be. And what we've got now is we're working to replace that forebay. And you're right about there. So the forebay collects the water that's being pumped out of the Hocking River. That is the Hocking River that Rockville sits on. Headwaters of the Hocking. The big wooden tub, it's about 6 by 4 feet and 4 feet deep. But it's been leaking really badly and it needs to be replaced. These things are challenges because we can't just pop into Lowe's and buy a replica 200-year-old milling forebay. So we have to work hard to find specialized people who know how to build that. And then once it's built, how do we get it in place? As you can see, it's right up here above board, so that's another challenge. But we are finding some folks that can help us out, and we do hope to get this repaired and replaced in the next 2 months. You know, some of our big projects in 2023, this is not all inclusive, but this is kind of the highlights of what we did. We had a couple capital improvements. We got a new picnic shelter in Younger Park. We are always trying to think about accessibility improvements. We now have a trail that is no barriers. So for the most part, any person could go make use of that trail in Younger Park. We are also a Heart Safe Park now. We have, through the Fairfield Medical Center, 4 parks that have AEDs that we got through their grant program. And all of our staff have been trained on how to use those. So we are happy to have that. And coming up in 2024, what we're working on is a strategic plan. What do we need to focus on in the next 5 to 10 years? As I mentioned, the Rockville repairs, we're still making improvements at Lamberg. And I did want to talk about the H2 Ohio wetland project. We received a grant for about $1 million last year from the H2 Ohio program. That program is Governor DeWine's answer to, first off, the water quality issues in the northern part of the state where they had the toxic algal blooms. We have other problems here in the southern 2/3 of the state, but they're now spending some of that money in our area. So this is going to provide for a wetland project at 2 glaciers, where we hope to have our long trail system, where we already have 2 covered bridges. And this project should start planning between now and summer and should be done by the end of 2025. We are also working to expand our trails that we currently have. Property next to Smek Park, which is in Baltimore last year, and we're going to connect that trail to our existing trail at Smek. And we have a partnership with Wigwam by the township. And this spring, we're hoping to be able to open a walking path there through very beautiful woods that they have at Wigwam. Did pretty good, staying on task. That was my last slide. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has. Any of these things, and I hope that you are getting out and using our parks. Like I said, I have paper maps. We do programs year-round. We're open year-round, every day, daylight hours. You can come to your parks.
Appreciate your presentation. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, so I know your office is located up at Coyote Run. We had a chance to tour that late last year, and it's a really cool facility. Can you talk a little bit about partnership with Coyote Run and what's going on there and what any plans you might have for that?
Thank you. If you're not familiar with Coyote Run, which probably not everyone is, it's a privately owned nature preserve in Violet Township. I believe they've surpassed 900 acres now, and they've been doing habitat restorations. They donated an old farmhouse to the park district and a little over an acre for us to move our offices. That happened when Todd Youngkin, my predecessor, was the director, but it took a while to get the building needed some rehab. We have that open now. Right now, our partnership with Coyote Run consists of them allowing us to do educational programs that are ours and are led by our staff. I led one last week on their property. And then we have a big event that we just kicked off last year called Go Wild in partnership with Coyote Run. Where that's going to go in the future, I'm not 100% sure. We have a great relationship with them. In some ways, we've got similar goals as far as protecting the land and water resources. But our focus has to be on, making sure that everybody's out enjoying that. It's different for them in some ways. They're private, that works. So I don't know. I hope for good things. I'm really grateful that we have the opportunity to do those programs because they have things there that we just don't have in other places in our parks. We get people out to see them. One thing that I think that those of us who live here in Fairfield County and have lived here for a while might take for granted is the diversity that we have here. So up in Violet Township in Coyote Run, you have these fairly flat areas with these pools and Sycamore Creek. And then if you go down to Stony Hill or Two Glaciers, there's rock formations and overlooks and things like that. It's not typical for one space the size of Fairfield County to have all those things. I mean, everyone else's.
I had a chance to go out there this past weekend, go to check on those vernal. And every time we go out there, I'm amazed at how many different life forms, tiny little shrimp, swimming around in the vernal. And that's with some salamanders. And I mean, there's just so many different things there that, I talked to him about too, right? Is there a way to get more people to be able to understand this and see it? He's all about land conservation, and so you got to keep preaching the gospel of land conservation if you want people to pay attention to it. So anything we can do to help bring more people to that area is just an amazing.
Were you surprised? Did you know about vernal pools before you went there?
So again, he's taken us out there through time now, the pools, but each time there's something new. Just going out there on a rainy, kind of cold Saturday morning, just to see all the different forms of life that are just moving around and doing their thing and stuff you'd never see. And it's pretty.
Glad that you guys would do that. And we do have, I think our next program, there's a wildflower program. So our website, vernal pools are obviously being spring, these pools are going to dry up. So those opportunities are coming close to being over for the year, but I'll be back next year and we'll be there offering programs.
So the property you have right outside of Baltimore, which contains the Blue Heron Rookery.
Wagner Preserve.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what your plans are with that property.
Wagner Preserve we purchased, it was in 2020. We got that property with the Clean Ohio grant. One thing that Clean Ohio liked about it is that it's home to the largest great blue heron rookery, the second largest south of Lake Erie, but there's a bunch of great blue herons there. The property also adjoins the Liberty Union Land Lab, which is something that Clean Ohio likes as well because now it's a bigger space. We have, with help from the land bank, done a demo on some old buildings that we couldn't use any longer. There's still a barn there that Liberty Union Schools is interested in moving to their property. So they're trying to figure that out. It's not easy to move any barn, but this one is massive. We have to be careful about what we do on the property, with the exception of September through February, so we don't disturb the herons. So they have through next February to figure this out and hopefully they'll be successful and be able to move that barn. But once that happens, we're putting in trails. We hopefully this year will be putting in a trail for the students to access. So I don't remember which grade it is, but one of the grades at Liberty Union always studies penguins. They do this whole penguin life cycle. And last year, the landlocked committee said, why don't they use the herons for that? They're right here. So we're going to try to provide a trail for them this year so they can go see them. We also are working with them to get a camera. We had one last year, but it wasn't quite up to task and it didn't last. So that students in the school, but also anybody here through our website can go and see an active great blue heron nest, which is really a lot of fun to watch. So those will be the highlights of the trail. We've already done some habitat improvements and about this for a second. National Fish and Wildlife are coming in to do some verticals there this year as well with H2 Ohio funds.
How many blue heron nests are there? Any idea?
We did a count. It increased by, I think, 12% from last year, from what we can tell. And I feel like it was right around 70. That's a lot. It's tricky to get an accurate count because you can't go there when they're using them. But if you drive through there, so the property, if you're not familiar, it's at the corner of Leonard Road and 158. From now through September, if you're and you're going through there, make sure to take a look up in the sky, look up in the trees, because you will see them coming and going all the time. They form these big rookeries for mating, and then after they're done raising their young, everybody splits up and has their long time through the next mating season. That's kind of the way they operate. But if you drive through there during the day, you'll see them.
There's a number of them along the creek on the bike path. Sometimes it's
Oh, yeah.
not together. They go
Oh,
separate.
oh, yeah.
Just be after they leave.
They're fun. They're,
In my backyard too.
okay, good.
Thank you, Marcy, for
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So the commission sets aside this time for voters and taxpayers to do public comment. If you wish to do so, please approach the podium and give your name and address, and we are limiting to 3 minutes.
Good morning. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been here, so you probably missed it. But I would like to say that it's good to be back, and the good Lord has taken care of us, so we have a lot to be thankful for. Especially in this time of crisis that we really are in a crisis right now. I would like to mention, my name is Ray Stemen, 2444 West Point Road, Lancaster. And Michigan has a problem. The governor, Whitmer of Michigan, has called upon the people to open their homes and resources to those that are coming in that are illegal. Of course, we know they have another name for it. But there are some of the states, blue states, that are now making it almost mandatory that they take in people, encourage them, and help them get settled in their communities, get the kids aligned in school, and do some of the things that shopping for them, and they have to help them for about 90 days. That's kind of the record. And it's being supported by the Michigan Department of Labor and other organizations, NGOs that are in Michigan, and they get paid, of course, for doing this. And it's something that has been created by this administration in Washington, D.C. right now, and it's prying heavily on the people of each community. And I don't know, I don't get any points to hear from locally that we have any problems, but we see a lot of faces around that we don't recognize. So at this point, I would like to turn to the Lord and say, Lord, help us through this time. Help us to be using our resources for our own people, people that came here legally, and those that really want to help us. Not many of these people that have come through the gates this year are here to help us. And it does put us in a prime condition to have things happen in communities, and it's unlawlessness and crime has climbed, and we need to support our police and sheriff and all the people that are here to help us. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Ray. Who would like to be next?
Good morning. This is Judy, and same address as my husband. The things that just don't cease to come to light about COVID. There's gene-edited mosquitoes get released, and now fever rockets by 400%. The program got $50 million from Bill Gates. Next, the breaking Senate briefings. They were on are unvaccinated children healthier? That was the question, and they did a great study on that. They found that children that are vaccinated have higher rates of food allergies, ADHD, speech disorders, autism, and many other things too. They also said that both the COVID-19 virus and COVID vaccines were exploited by the bioweapons industry. Now, one has to ask just how much caution and concern has been practiced and displayed by our own county for health's sake rather than the big bucks. There has been at least one of you who has been elected to commissioner seat who has indicated that you are not interested in any of the info that has been brought to these meetings concerning COVID. Why on earth has one or more turned your back to this horrible health mess? Next, Bill Gates demands governments mandate his global digital ID. So that's going to affect healthcare, bank, and buying groceries. Now, is this the freedom our forefathers and many soldiers fought for? I don't believe so. Next, cancer risk soars 52% among those fully vaccinated that are aged 15 to 59. And next is shot mandate is dating back to 1905, gets constitutional challenge. Its smallpox precedent ignores modern legal analysis of requirements. So the courts are going and looking at this. Multiple studies now have documented the dangerous, even fatal side effects from many of those shot programs that were developed and sold to the government during the pandemic.
30 seconds to conclude.
Thank you very much. That was it.
Thank you. Would be next. Thank you for all for coming. From legal, Prosecutor Webb, good to see you.
Morning, sir.
Yes.
How are you?
Anything for legal?
Well, I'll just share. I don't think we have anything on the civil side. I checked with Stephen beforehand. He didn't indicate anything, but I will take this opportunity to share a victory that we had in the court next door last week. We just finished a 4-day jury trial on a Lifetail child sexual assault victim-oriented case. And it was a very difficult case for our office, but it really, I think, is representative of a collaboration in a very positive way between a number of different agencies, not only the sheriff's office who investigated it, of course, our office who prepared the case for trial, Child Protective Services who helped secure the safety and welfare of this child during the 2-year pendency of this case, and also the Harkham House conducted not only the forensic interview in the case, but also supported some advocacy and some support services for this juvenile moving forward. Just to kind of enlighten folks in the room who may not have any experience, either personally or professionally with these types of cases, but this girl, our victim in this case, was 12 years old. She was living with her grandmother and who had adopted her, and her abuser was the husband of the grandmother. She had very little support in her home life. After she came forward with this disclosure of abuse, she was pretty immediately taken to her abuser's defense attorney and encouraged to recant the disclosure that she had made. And so these are the dynamics that we're experiencing. And she was basically in an unsafe, obviously because of the abuse she was suffering, but also an unsupportive environment. And I say that just because it highlights the important work that a number of our protective services agencies, the Harcum House, victim advocate, and social workers are doing, because this case rested, very importantly, in terms of conviction, on her ability to appear in court, which she did, and to tell to describe her abuse. That's a very difficult proposition and a very difficult circumstance for any person, let alone a child, to do. And that support was really critical and crucial to making sure that she was able to make that appearance. And so we got a good result. That abuser is in our jail currently awaiting sentencing. And so we're very pleased with that, but it was a very difficult case, and I just thought it's important to highlight that. So thank you for the opportunity to share that story, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have on that. Tough subject.
Well, thank you so much. As you mentioned, it's not only difficult to think about, but especially difficult to talk about these kind of situations. And with us today, we have the folks from Harcum House, which, obviously, one thing we do well in Fairfield County is collaborate, work well together. And so it makes something like this successful. I think that takes a lot of that. Is that correct?
It really did take a village, so.
Congratulations, Kyle. Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Yeah, thank you. I just to be clear, I didn't try the case personally. Brian Waltz, my office, did, and he put his heart and soul into it. So I'm very proud of his efforts, but he represented our office well. So.
Very nice. Thank you. And so, county administration update.
All right, yeah. So regional planning approved the 2024 comprehensive plan at their March 5th meeting last week, which was held at the Workforce Center. There is a letter from regional planning interim director Holly Maddie in the review packet where she is making you aware that this plan is now being forwarded to the commission for their adoption. And there's a link to that. You also have copies made available. The tentative plan right now is to have this on the voting agenda for your meeting March 19th, which is next Tuesday. This is being presented to you all to accept in totality or to reject in totality. There's not an ability for you all to make changes at this point since it has been adopted by regional planning and forwarded on to you.
Commissioner Fick.
Yeah, so if I may, thank you. So you guys have heard me talk about this now for quite a long time, and probably tired of hearing about it, but it's finally coming to fruition. The year basically that we put into creating this plan and the way we went about it, right? The meetings with every township and every village, and now the follow-up meetings that we're having with many of those. When we first had the open hearing for the land use plan back in September, I think over 200 people showed up, and many of them were angry, and you've heard my story about that. At the meeting last week, 11 people showed up. So felt like that we had made enough of an effort to be inclusive and get feedback from every corner of the county that there was no more concern that we weren't listening or we were trying to do something untoward. I think we've also been able to educate many people on the way about what this plan actually is. And it really is just a plan. It's not forcing zoning. It's not telling people what to do. It's a toolbox for the townships and villages to use, some of whom are using it. Some of whom have taken this opportunity to go and do their own plans, which is great. That was ultimately what we wanted to start with. So unfortunately, I'll be out of town next week. I'll be attending via Zoom and won't be able to vote, but I am hopeful that my colleagues will see fit to pass this.
Commissioner Davis, anything to add?
No, I join Commissioner Fix in thanking the staff for the many meetings, many evenings. If they made it overtime, they would have made a tremendous amount of money going to all those meetings, but most of them don't. They just did their job and above and beyond the call of duty. I'll probably have more to say next week as that actually comes before us. But I can't thank Commissioner Fix enough for leading on this issue. Each of us have led on different issues at different times, but none perhaps as difficult and challenging as the past few months on this particular issue.
Well, thank you, and I'll reserve my remarks for next week when Commissioner Fix isn't here to defend himself.
I'll be here. Right up there.
It'll all be good.
Share a special thank you to Holly, Maddie, and the regional planning team for their work on this, as well as the folks in economic development, and Tony. I think Tony might get the prize for most meetings attended out of the staff. Is that accurate, Tony?
Yeah, Tony was the star of the show most places we went because everybody wants to talk about water and sewers. Did a great job with that. Got it.
Thank you. We received notification that we are being awarded a 2024 Recycle Ohio grant in the amount of about $9,000. Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Agency applied for this on behalf of the commissioners, and it was a Recycle Ohio grant that will allow for an all-in-one office printer and stand, some metal signs and installation, and the ability to do recycling of fluorescent lights as well as mixed light bulbs and some dry cell batteries. So it doesn't sound a huge amount of $9,000, but it does allow them to continue to make some headways in a number of those areas. And the signs and installation, that is to be able to put some notification out at the remote recycling bins to make sure folks are recycling the correct items there.
So it's kind of interesting because I serve on the Community Action Board, and there was two products that are very difficult to get recycled: fluorescent tubes and dry cell batteries. There's actually charges to do those. So even though it's only $9,000, it's important that those things be disposed of properly.
And we're appreciative of Jennifer Colometz out at Community Action being helpful on the recycling efforts for the county. Just a reminder, our next roundtable for elected officials and department heads is Tuesday, April 2nd from 1 to 4. We'll be holding this one at the Agricultural Center. Clerk Rochelle Minigan will be seeking departmental updates from everybody in the near future so that we could share those in advance. And if folks do have a specific topic they'd like to have covered, just let me know. Highlights of resolutions. The review packet does contain a list of administrative approvals, and there are 19 resolutions on the agenda for the voting meeting today. We do have two proclamations today, one for a celebration for the outstanding achievements of women, and specifically of NASA Flight Director Allison Bollinger, who is the proud daughter of Treasurer Bonson. Proclamation would recognize March 22nd as Celebrate Women and Celebrate Allison Bollinger Day. The second resolution, and thank you, Marcy, for being here to receive that, is for Earth Day, just doing that a little bit in advance and timing up your visit with that. Earth Day was organized over 50 years ago to mobilize and educate people to protect the environment, and our Parks District certainly works hard to do that. We also have a resolution, an expedited type 2 annexation of 9.138 acres from Walnut Township to the village of Millersport. I believe Mr. Hart is here as well as Vince. Anything you all would like to say on that?
Church camp that's been there for many, many years that wants a little better rate with village water services.
And it allows us to square up the village a little bit more with the opportunity of contiguous landowners wanting to be part of village without us getting in any trouble. And that's a key thing.
Thank you, gentlemen, for both being here today. We also have a resolution approving a letter of support to Senator Sherrod Brown for federal funding for an updated CT scanner at Fairfield Medical Center. Jack Genoso has requested this letter of support and is very appreciative if that's something you all would be willing to do. There are 3 resolutions authorizing use of ARP funding, one for the Harcum House, and we have folks here today, Cody and his team. Would you guys like to say anything on that resolution? You come on down.
Thank you very much, commissioners. Thank you so much. Just want to mirror a little bit and follow up on the thing that Kyle mentioned. It was a really powerful reminder about why we do the work that we do this last week that we were all able to share. About an hour before we walked in for sentencing, I was sitting with that kid. And, you know, we're going through, we want kids to know that their bravery isn't determined by the outcome of a trial. Someone asked her, what would you tell another kid that was facing us? Her response to that is one of the most powerful human moments I've ever been witness to. I won't butcher it by trying to exact quote her, but to know that there are people that are going to listen, to know no matter how much you argue with yourself, it's never your fault. And to know that if you're brave enough, there will be people there to support you. We sat in that courtroom about an hour later. The power in that room to see a kid vindicated, to watch their journey to healing reach this moment, and then to sit with my partners and watch all of the hard work that they put into all these cases, see the value in what they do was an incredible honor. I want you to know that Harcum House is leading the state in how we treat kids and how we respond to these crimes. Our voice is helping shape the future of safety in this state for children, and it's because this community has chosen it to be that way. It's a crime that thrives in secrecy and darkness, and I know you've heard me say that before, but it is not secret and it is not dark here. And as we move forward, please know that we're doing so very boldly, and our children will be among the safest in the state because our citizens have decided that that's worth doing. Thank you so much for that investment, and please know that it's going to go right back to these children.
So if I may,
Absolutely.
I, for one, am very appreciative of all the hard, dedicated work you guys are doing there at Harcum House. Congratulations on good work. Keep up the good work for the future of some of these young kids who don't have a voice sometimes.
Deeply appreciative. Big deal.
Thank you both very much for that. We certainly will. It's very big. Thank you.
The other two ARP resolutions that we have is one is for the Buzz Tower. This one here we'd already appropriated previously for, and we're getting $50,000 back from the city of Lancaster. That went and turned back into the general fund there. So we did have to reappropriate a little bit more to finish this particular project off. And thanks to John for his leadership with that. And I think we're almost at the finish line for that.
We're in a public comment phase. It's required by FAA, FCC. So within, I think we're down to about 22 days and then we'll be a month.
Wonderful, thank you. And then the last one there is for transportation school education vehicles to be used for driver education programs. Bart or Jeff, anything to add on that one?
No, we're just providing that reimbursement to our local school districts for 2 vehicles for driver's education.
All right, thank you. Moving on, a resolution approving a grant agreement between the Commissioners and the Ohio Department of Development for the Energy Efficiency Program for Ohio Communities. And then a resolution approving the recommendation of the revolving loan fund to approve a loan application for Double Edge Brewing through the Fairfield County EDA CARES revolving loan fund project. And I believe this will allow them to be able to do a canning line. Rick, are you virtual to add to that? I think Bennett has given you the ability to speak if you are. All right.
All right, there we go. Can you hear me now? Thanks, Bennett.
Yep.
All right, yeah, so, whoa, that's bright. So Double Edge, this is similar to what we did with combustion when COVID hit. They're starting a small canning line where they'll be able to sell their beers in their shop. So one of the great things about both combustion and Double Edge is their growth has been very organic. They haven't tried to grow too big too soon, and I think that's been part of the success. This is just the next step in that growth. They're not going to sell in grocery stores or things like that. It's going to be, a small canning line. They're actually getting a digital, this is cool, a digital laser printer that will actually print their labels on the can. so they don't have additional expenses for labels down the road, and they can do special releases and things like that. So just great to help another downtown business.
Thanks, Rick. We also have a resolution to approve a bid award to Enviro Construction Company for the CDBG Program 2022 Village of Pleasantville Street Storm Sewer Improvement Project. Holly, anything on that?
It is part of the neighborhood revitalization grant. So it's one of several projects.
Thank you. And then the last two here, resolution approving a service agreement between the Sheriff's Office and Violet Township for policing services. And lastly, the Utilities Department is purchasing 3 trucks that are replacing current trucks. Budget review, Mark.
No updates this week.
All right, Rochelle, calendar review and invitations received, please.
For calendar, we have no calendar review items, but for invitations received, the Lancaster Festival Reveal event and fundraising event is on April 6th at 7 o'clock at the Eagles Event Center, and the community prayer breakfast is April 15th at 8 a.m. The Commissioner's Office received correspondence from the City of Lancaster Community Development Department regarding a revised notice of funding availability, programming schedule, performance measures report, census tracts, and eligible activities for fiscal year 2024 City of Lancaster Community Development Block Grant Funds. Correspondence regarding the Israeli-Hamas war was received, a letter regarding the National Day of Prayer, correspondence regarding industrial solar projects, a letter regarding Fairfield Homes Incorporated plans to submit an application to utilize multifamily funding programs of the Ohio Housing Finance Agency, a letter from the Ohio Department of Agriculture approving the appointment of Sean Reinhardt as Deputy Apiarist, news release from the Office of the County Auditor titled Final Current Agricultural Use Value Deadline is April 1st. Hinkle Real Estate Advisor sent a letter regarding property assessment and appraisals for Pickerington Road Interchange Project. A memo from the County Auditor, subjects update on Budget Commission activity, waiver of tax budget, desk reviews and reports, and requests for information. The Fairfield County Auditor's Office also provided the wins of the week. An email from RPC regarding their approval of the comprehensive plan and requesting the Commissioner's adoption of that plan. A resolution from the Pleasant Township trustees asking the Commissioners to prohibit industrial solar in unincorporated areas of Pleasant Township. A letter from CCAO regarding Sunshine Week, and an updated executive session overview guide that they provided. They're in your packets. And the Environmental Stewardship Committee spring newsletter. That is it.
Thank you, Rochelle. That's all we have, Commissioner.
Sure, Davis, anything about old business? Sure, thanks.
Yeah, last week we had a really productive meeting between the Village of Baltimore and Liberty Township, where they're talking about trying to form a cooperative economic development agreement. So those conversations continued today. We also met with the mayor of Pleasantville last week to talk about, their plans and be supportive of them. And these are just examples of, the work doesn't stop once the land use plan is adopted. That's really just the starting point. All these villages and townships, now have the opportunity to explore what their future is going to be and how they might work together to accomplish that future. So it's really it's exciting to see partnerships forming, and that's where we are right now. So feel really good about that work, and we're going to continue to push down that road.
So last week I was not in attendance. I actually serve on the state governor's workforce board. And it's a couple initiatives that are the governor's looking at is one dealing with how students involved in career opportunities that, for instance, the Eastland Vocational School, how their GPA is arrived at compared to those in looking at higher level learning, where you compare grade averages on one course study as compared to whether it be career opportunity. And so they're trying to equalize that playing field. So somebody who's attending career opportunity school would have the same opportunity to have a higher GPA than those who are attending a four-year degree school. So that's one area where we had the president of Miami University present, where he's doing something similar that we're doing at the Workforce Center, where students have the opportunity to work 24 hours a week, or you have 18 employers involved, work 18 hours a week, or 24 hours a week, excuse me, and then attend school remaining time and get paid for that. And then in turn, the employer pays for the schooling. So it's a lot of good things happening from the governor's workforce board. And just looking at some of the practical ways we can deal with workforce and give opportunities to those who would like to be part of it. Commissioner Fix, anything on new business?
Commissioner Davis.
I don't have anything I want to report on today. I wouldn't want the absence of that report to think that I didn't have a number of important meetings this week. Thank you.
I don't have any new business other than, as I mentioned before, I won't be able to be in attendance next week. Sometimes business takes me out of town. But I will be appearing on Zoom, though that precludes me from voting. I anticipate my colleagues will vote the right way in spite of my absence.
So commissioners, if you would
On the above.
rise if you're able to join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have one announcement. Resolution 2024-3.12.c is being withdrawn from the agenda. Legal counsel has determined that corrections need to be made prior to the petition prior to the commissioner's acceptance of the petition.
D.
C.
Does B remain?
D remains. Okay.
Approval of minutes for March 5th, 2024.
So moved.
Discussion. Seeing none, roll call.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis? Commissioner Levesey? Minutes from March 5th are approved. From the Commissioner's Office, Resolution 2024-3.12.a, a resolution authorizing the approval of proclamations.
So moved.
Here, which you'll need to read it all.
Oh, I think we're gonna have.
They are.
All right. For the proclamation recognizing March 22nd as Celebrate Women and Celebrate Allison Bollinger Day. Who would like to come up?
Jim.
So, there are times in my life, I'm sure you all have said it, where you say something like it doesn't take a rocket scientist or it's not rocket science. Jim's daughter Allison actually is a rocket scientist. He'll be able to tell you more about what she does, but my understanding is she's one of the people who helps the space station as it's circling the globe, keep it on track and keep everything moving in the right direction. Jim, you want to talk about how proud you are of your daughter?
No.
Yeah.
This is mentioned in the proclamation that she's been interested in space ever since age 4.5. She's filed this passion. She's been very focused on it. And she's ultimately where she wants to be, and that is working mission control. And when some people ask, what does a flight director do? My description is, if you ever seen the movie Apollo 13, and they call down mission control and say, Houston, we have a problem, that call goes to her. So she's the one that's in charge of the whole room. So she enjoys it. She loves it. She'll be here next week. So I'd rather have her answer any questions or I love what she does when she's here.
I'm going to read the highlights of this because it's so cool. Whereas Allison Bollinger, a Lancaster, Ohio native, is keynote speaker for the Celebrate Women event on March 22nd, 2004 at Ohio University, Lancaster. Ms. Bollinger attended the Women in Technology and Science Conference at Ohio University, Lancaster while in middle school. The Fairfield County Commissioners wish to recognize Mrs. Bollinger and all women who dare to dream and achieve the accomplishments of those dreams. And NASA Flight Director Allison Bollinger began her career at NASA as an intern in 2001 before she earned her bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering from Purdue University in 2004. Ms. Bollinger wanted to work at NASA for as long as she can remember. Quote, I was 4.5 when the Challenger happened, she said. It was my first childhood memory. Something in her clicked that day. After, when people asked what I wanted to be when I grew up, I said an astronaut. During college, Ms. Bollinger realized she wanted to train astronauts and work at Mission Control. And upon becoming a full-time NASA employee after graduation, Ms. Bollinger supported spacewalks and a variety of functions, including training astronauts and working in Mission Control during the spacewalks. She was the lead spacewalk flight controller for Space Shuttle Endeavour's final mission and several spacewalks since. And Ms. Bollinger served as Deputy Chief of Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory, managing the facility's daily operation of the 6.2 million gallon pool the astronauts used for spacewalk training. And in 2019, Ms. Bollinger was certified as the 95th flight director with the call sign Athena flights, having led multiple cargo and crew missions. And Ms. Bollinger's lead of the team launching the first crewed test flight of the Boeing Starliner in May to the International Space Station. Now therefore, the Fairfield County Board of Commissioners does hereby formally declare its recognition of March 22, 2004 as Celebrate Women and Celebrate Allison Bollinger Day.
Number one hero is Neil Armstrong. I love space and I just love everything. You're not.
My number one hero is Dave Lutz.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
We've got Marcey now for.
All right, Marcey. A proclamation recognizing April 22nd, 2024 as Earth Day. Earth Day was first organized in 1970 to mobilize and educate people worldwide to protect the environment. And Earth Day 2024 commemorates the 5-year anniversary of the Great Global Cleanup, collaboration of worldwide partners to eliminate plastics that have adverse effects on the environment. And the Fairfield County Park District serves as protecting and conserve nature and restore natural ecosystems. And the Fairfield County Park District educates on the environment through programs and events and through exploration of its park locations. Now, therefore, the Fairfield County Board of Commissioners does hereby formally declare its respect for and recognition of April 22nd, 2024 as Earth Day. Thank you.
I just want to say, it's an honor to serve the county in the way that we do on our staff. Whenever the topic of Earth Day comes up, somebody's always there to say, everybody's Earth Day. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. Also from the Commissioners, Resolution 2024-3.12.b, a resolution to approve the rescindment of resolutions involving the establishment of the Violet Township New Community Authority and the appointment of board members to said authority.
Under Commissioners, I move items B, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K.
Second. Discussion?
So my understanding on the Violet Township thing is that there were some issues with the language. And so we need to rescind the old one and they will eventually come back with a revised program.
Correct.
Thank you.
And this also includes the annexation property in Demolishport. The additional discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From Fairfield County Domestic Relations Court, Resolution 2024-3.12.L, a resolution authorizing an account-to-account transfer for the adjustment of material supplies, Fund 2625, Special Projects Fund.
So moved.
Discussion. Please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis? Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From Fairfield County Economic and Workforce Development, Resolution 2024-3.12.M, a resolution to approve the recommendation of the Fairfield County Revolving Loan Fund Loan Review Committee to fund Double Edge Brewing as a Fairfield County EDA CARES Revolving Loan Fund project.
So moved.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis? Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From the Fairfield County Engineer, Resolution 2024-3.12.N, a resolution to approve advertising for the WAL 05 Geiger Road Superstructure Replacement Project.
The Fairfield County Engineer, I move items N, O, and P.
Discussion.
I like that word superstructure.
Any additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. For Fairfield County Job and Family Services, Resolution 2024-3.12.Q, a resolution approving an account-to-account transfer into a major expenditure object category, Fund 2072, Public Children's Services.
So moved.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. For Fairfield County Regional Planning Commission, Resolution 2024-3.12.R, a resolution to approve an award of bid to Enviro Construction Company for the CDBG PY 2022 Village of Pleasantville Street Storm Sewer Improvement Project.
So moved.
Discussion.
So we did hear from our Congressman Troy Wallerson, unrelated to this, but still talking about Pleasantville, that the Walnut Water Sewer District is going to receive a $1.5 million grant from the federal government. In addition, our engineer's office is going to get a $2 million grant from the federal government for improvements on Refugee Road. And I just wanted to note for the record our appreciation of the work that our Congressman Troy Balderson does on behalf of Fairfield County at the U.S. Congress.
Additional discussion. Roll, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. From the Fairfield County Sheriff, Resolution 2024-3.12.S, a resolution authorizing the approval of a service agreement by and between Fairfield County Sheriff's Office and Violet Township.
So moved.
Discussion. Additional discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. For Fairfield County Utilities Department, Resolution 2024-3.12.T, a resolution authorizing the purchase of 3 work trucks.
So moved.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yeah.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yeah.
Motion passes 3-0. Payment of bills, Resolution 2024-3.12.U, a resolution authorizing the approval of payment of invoices for departments that need Board of Commissioners approval.
So moved.
Discussion. Please.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. The next regular meeting is scheduled for March 19th at 9 a.m.
So this is the opportunity to engage elected officials, starting with Director Bonson. Anything you'd like to mention?
We're currently working on the second half escrow program, so we hope to have coupons in the mail here soon.
getting a lot of phone calls at the office wanting to know when that's going to occur. So we're in that process right now.
Good. Lisa?
Nothing.
Dr. Brown?
Intending a property tax reform meeting later today and continuing to talk about homestead and owner occupancy credit. CAUV deadline is April 1st, as is the BOR deadline. We will have some requests for information relating to the Budget Commission. That deadline will be May 1st, and audit is in process.
Prosecutor Webb?
Nothing further, thank you.
Tony, I bet you're so talkative.
Just had a good vacation. You came back tan.
Got to see that big orange thing.
Anything left? Dan? All right. Anything else to come before the Board of Commissioners?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.